Today's show is brought to you by State Farm agent Bryant. If you're a local small business owner, you know how important it is to be there for your customers. State Farm agent Bryant runs a small business in Downers Grove, too, and he's here to help you protect your small business. Call Bryant today at 630-796-2662. That's 630-796-2662. Or visit his website, ryanismyagent.com. That's ryanismyagent.com. And make sure to mention Sports Talk Chicago. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I want to start today with this. Why is it that we take 3 or 4 games and claim that we know what's going to happen? Why do we do that? How in the world does anybody know what's to come for the Cubs or White Sox right now? We could infer. We could look at the data. We can make comments on what we've seen. But it's irresponsible to say the Cubs are going to be in last place. The Sox will be World Series winners. We have no clue yet. So I want you to know, watching and listening to me, I won't be like that yet. There is no inclination as to what both teams will do till at least June or July. At least. And until then, we have to watch and observe and take from it what we could. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Cubs are doomed. Not yet. Or the Sox are great. Don't worry. No. It takes time to watch a team and understand what they're capable of. Hey, we remember this past year. Everyone said the Bears should tear it down. They made the playoffs. There's a long way to go in this baseball season, 162 games. The Cubs have played 3, the Sox 4. It's irresponsible to say we know what's going to happen. Now, that said, we've seen a series already. And I have a couple of observations to make about both teams. We'll start with the Cubs. They're 2-1. Let's not overreact. They beat Pittsburgh. If you don't beat Pittsburgh, you got a problem. And they still can't hit either. They faced Pittsburgh pitching, and they can't hit. Now, their pitching was great. Give them a ton of credit. Arrieta, amazing start. Phenomenal. Do I think that'll last? No. But a phenomenal way to begin the year. Zach Davies, known to be a finesse pitcher, control pitcher, got the job done. And Hendricks, 3 innings, 3 earned, nothing to be concerned about. Craig Kimbrell, for some reason, is having a renaissance this year. 1 save, 2 innings, nothing, 5 strikeouts, and the bullpen itself has been relatively good. Lots of zeros on the ERA chart from Tepera, Chapin, and Workman. Guys who've all made multiple appearances already. They're showing early that they could be consistent. Believe it or not, there's a lot of positives for this Cubs team right now, which I can't even believe I'm saying. I entered the season thinking they'd be 83-79, and that could very well be the case, but right now they're playing like a playoff team. The only issue, though, is their hitting. The only player with a batting average above 300 right now is Kris Bryant. Contreras is 0 for 9. Rizzo, 2 for 8. Bodie, hitless. Jock Peterson, hitless. I don't wish the guy harm, but I knew it was coming. Everybody who freaked out and said Jock Peterson would be this amazing signing, you're wrong. Everybody who said, oh, we'll get 2019 Jock Peterson, I knew it wasn't happening. Look, in his career, Jock Peterson is known to hit home runs and strike out a lot. And not hit for average either. Not at all. I mean, the guy's a .229 career hitter. That's unacceptable. To me, that's unacceptable. And he's only had 1 year with 30-plus homers. So at the end of the day, what did the Cubs really get? I am not a Kyle Schwarber fan by any means. But if I knew they'd replace Schwarber with Peterson, I would have said just keep Schwarber. If anything, Schwarber adds a clubhouse element that Peterson doesn't. I didn't really understand that move. He has been an utter disappointment so far in 3 games. But I will say this, if you can't hit Pirates pitching, you got a problem. The Cubs will be okay, I think. They need to work on their hitting, though. And for those of you who listen to me regularly, you know this has been happening. Ever since the World Series, they just can't hit. Or they hit and they're inconsistent. Or one guy's up and the other's down. They've never been on the same page. We're seeing that again this year already. Kris Bryant, super hot to start the year. Everybody else cold. Everybody. That's going to be their downfall. And they're pitching over time. My hope is that in their rotation, they'll guys pick each other up. But let's be honest here. Jake Arrieta is not going to replicate 2015. I'm sorry. Zach Davies, I think, and Hendricks will be the most consistent in that rotation. Jury's out on Alec Mills. We don't know. And Alzolay is also a big question mark. There's a long way to go, yes. The Cubs aren't doomed. But let's hold back this past weekend. Stop jumping to conclusions right away. There's a long way to go. And this team still has many questions. And they beat a Pittsburgh team that is clearly rebuilding. The Pirates have no interest in winning right now. And that's fine. But let's remember that. Let's not say, well, the Cubs are back when they beat a cellar dweller. We have to keep expectations in check. Now, as far as the White Sox go, everybody's freaking out because they're 1-3. Now, the Angels aren't a pushover. I know last year was different. COVID, Joe Maddon's first year. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. So there's no shame in going 1-3 against them. But similar to the Cubs, they have not started off hot with the bats. Yermin Mercedes is a freak of nature. Besides him, though, it's been relatively quiet. Luis Roberts hitting .313, and the rest of the team is doing a whole lot of nothing at the plate. I know it'll change. Their lineup, in my opinion, top to bottom, one of the best in baseball. No question. So I'm not concerned about that. They need time to develop. They need time to get used to pitching again and to get used to a 162-game schedule. Last year, they played 50. They did nothing last year. This is the first time we'll see this team in terms of a full year. We're going to see slumps. We're going to see guys regress to their averages. We're going to see hot streaks. Ebbs and flows throughout the season. And right now, they're in an ebb. Pitching-wise, Lucas Giolito looks okay. Good start his first time out. 2 earned runs, 5 1/3 innings pitched. Lance Lynn looked good, but couldn't get past the 5th, and that's the problem for the White Sox right now. Now, my theory is that Tony La Russa wants to let guys get a feel for it. They're not going to throw complete games in the first week of the season, But that said, down the line, these guys need to throw more innings. Lucas Giolito could go 200 innings in a season. Lance Lynn certainly could. He's done it many a time. Keuchel too. So the starting pitching right now is a bit shaky. But I think over time, Tony La Russa will allow them to stay in games longer. Let's get to the bullpen now. And this was a big story the other day. A tweet here from James Fegan, quote, Tony La Russa said Hendricks was warming up in case they went ahead to the top of the ninth, and he would have considered using him more in a tie game at home. He trusted Foster and preferred riding with him over committing to Hendricks to get 6 outs. And from Patrick Nolan, tactically, La Russa's been a mixed bag so far. Not going to Hendricks when he should have in a tie game late, and letting Lurie Garcia bat for himself multiple times stand out as questionable calls. You all know how I feel about Tony La Russa. I still think it was a great hire. That said, these were mistakes. Liam Hendricks is known to be a multiple out closer. A multiple inning closer, not even multiple out. The guy regularly goes 2 or 3 innings per outing. And he's done great. I didn't understand why he was being saved. You spent a lot of money on him. You invested a lot of your money in a closer. And now all of a sudden, you're timid to use it. See, it'd be different if you got Craig Kimbrell. If you got a closer who regularly went 1 inning, done. I'd say fine. Liam Hendricks is a freak of nature. He's okay with going 2 to 3 innings. He's an old school reliever. I love that. Tony La Russa is an old school coach. I don't get why Hendricks didn't come in that situation. And that tweet is correct. We do have to see how this progresses. There shouldn't be ambiguity when it comes to Liam Hendricks' role. You paid money. You know what he's capable of. This guy should be pitching 2 innings per outing. There's no reason why you should be saving him. 2019, 85 innings pitched out of the bullpen. 85 innings. He's not afraid to be used like that, but you got to use him. His numbers don't look good now. Those will go down with time. But the Sox have to figure this out. It's not going to help them when it comes to winning games and closing them. And that's their biggest problem right now. They're still a young team, inexperienced. The number one issue for teams like that moving forward is closing games, winning them, keeping their opponents at bay. Sox said in the offseason, we know how to fix that, but now it's not being executed. Very scary. And if I were a Sox fan, that's the number one concern I would have. I know the offense will pick back up. Guaranteed. Pitching will be fine. The guys are being used sparingly now. They're building up their arm strength. They'll be okay by June, July. But this bullpen situation needs to be figured out, and figured out fast. Cubs fans, you know this. You remember 2019, Craig Kimbrell. Even last year, to an extent. You cannot have a bullpen problem. Not if you want to contend. Especially not if you're in a playoff race. Every Cubs fan remembers 2019 and the collapse. Many remember 2004 and the collapse. You're a Sox fan right now, you better be petitioning Hendricks to be used correctly. Liam Hendricks is not a one-trick pony. 1 inning, done. Couple of outs, done. specialist. Done. No. Liam Hendriks is known to go 2 to 3 innings. He used to be a starter. Broke into the league as a starter with Minnesota. He is capable of going multiple innings, but you got to give him a chance. I'm very curious to see how that progresses. Other than that, I'm not worried. 1-3 is nothing. There's a long way to go, and the Angels are a formidable opponent. But you got to find a way to shore that up, and quick. Because if that persists throughout the season, at the end of the year, you're going to look back and think to yourselves, wow, we blew a lot of games early with the bullpen. And that's why we didn't make the playoffs. That's why we got in barely. That's why we're not a division winner. All of that stuff plays into it. If you don't shore things up now with these early games, it's going to come back to bite you later. If you're in a pennant race, division race, down the road, and you miss by 1 or 2 games, you'll think, well, which games got in the way? That's the issue. That's my number one concern. The Sox are a solid team. They'll be fine, but they need to find a way to shore up the bullpen. So all in all, not bad things for the Cubs or the White Sox. But remember, there's a long way to go. This isn't football. This isn't basketball or hockey. It's baseball. 162 games. So don't fret. Don't claim you're a World Series champion now. There's a long way to go. But there are things to be concerned about and things to improve upon. For both the Cubs and the White Sox, they have to make some changes soon. More to come here on Sports Talk Chicago. My interview with Professor Alan Sanderson comes up next, so stay tuned. Hey, do you want to make some money this weekend? What if I told you I could offer you $253 to bet on any game you want? Here's what you have to do. Go to sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. Must be 21 plus, must be an Illinois resident. You can bet $253 on any game you want for this upcoming weekend. March Madness, the tournament, is just about to wrap up. NBA and NHL are in full swing, and yes, baseball is back. This is, without question, the best time to put down some money and win a whole lot more back. That's sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. You have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.